There you go.
Hey, we're live. Well, I hit the go live button. It didn't work. Then Nick had to go hit the go live button and it worked. So I am Justin, the DIY audio guy. And to my right, this side over here is my partner in crime, the one only Nick from Toyd's DIY Audio. And we've got a guest. And I think this is a first. I think that this is the first guest that we've had on the show twice. I think you're the first two we've ever had.
I feel very honored.
Didn't we have Tom Zarbo on twice?
Well, he deserved it. I don't know if I did.
But I missed the Zarbo one because I couldn't make it that night.
That's true. You didn't make it the second time. But we did have Zarbo on twice. So misinformation from Justin.
Misinformation just in time for the election season. Misinformation. We have with us the one and only big Geoff with a G to talk about audio.
That's a Geoff. Of course, we're joking. For those of you who don't know, Geoff spells his name a little bit differently than most people. It's Geoff. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people call him Geoff instead of Geoff.
Yeah, my parents hated me.
Your parents hated you.
Yeah, I don't.
They didn't hate you that much.
Geoff, your levels seem a little bit quiet to me. Is that?
Well, 1 second. I just saw Nick's Nick.
Yep.
Listen, it's not necessarily true. It's just louder sound quality. That's all it is. I promise.
So we actually had him on. This is the owner of Resonix. If you guys are not familiar with that, we had him on a sound advice. So you guys should definitely check that out. But he's calling Geoff out for saying that he left us sound quality guys to play with the pro audio guys.
So the backstory behind the Resonix when Resonix was on, Geoff was on, and after the show, he said, "Let me show you this cool stuff." And he shows them all like, "Oh my God, this is great sound deadening." And I immediately had to go look it up and said, "Hey, that's the other Nick. We got to get him on the show." And Nick put on a fantastic show for us. He showed us the cool cars that were in the install bay. And that was probably one of our best shows ever. So Geoff, he wouldn't have had our best show ever if it hadn't been for your first time on the show, which is the other reason why I want you on the show, because you always spur the best ones after yours. So
of course, I mean, I like to give credit where credit is due, and Nick really deserves it. It's wild the amount of comparisons that his website provides, and it's third party. It's not like Nick's like, mine is this much better than that one. Obviously, he's paying people, and for the people that won't actually pay for it because they're scared, Nick is willing to front that money to prove that his product is better than theirs to a third party, actual standard. It's not something that he's paying the homeless guy down the street that worked for McDonald's. He actually sends it to get a standardized test done.
He's paid me nothing to endorse his product, but I think he's got some of the best sound deadening materials available.
He hasn't paid me either. I think the check is lost. I've requested it several times, but I'm going to keep promoting him just in good faith.
Yeah, when you say he hasn't paid me either, it makes it sound like it hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, I also want to give a big shout out to Geoff, because some of you guys have seen, we went live on Saturday. It was an impromptu live. It wasn't anything I planned, but if you haven't seen, and I don't know if we'll talk about it at all on this show, it's not really what this is dedicated towards, but Eminence Speaker Group, for all you who know them, which you should, they got bought out by B&C Speaker Group. So if you want to know more about that, we actually had Bennett Prescott from B&C, who was with Geoff, who happened to say, wait, let Bennett get on to help explain what's happening with this whole, buying out of Eminence Speaker Group. So it was a great little interview. It was fantastic. Bennett answered a lot, not only from the DIY side, but I think also from the professional side. So whatever side you're interested in, I think you'll get a good understanding of what happened. So go ahead and check out Toyd's DIY Audio and look at that interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we were so Ben and I were at a motorcycle audio competition in Miami in the throes of people being judged, and I'm like, Bennett, there's a very loud, very annoying slingshot coming on. You should go do this interview and leave the parking lot. He's like, well,
he wasn't even in the same parking lot anymore.
I think he stayed in the same parking lot, but I told him to leave the parking lot. And I'm surprised you did not get it, because I had to put my earplugs in and I was probably 100 feet away. And it was a very unpleasant time.
Now, when you say very, very loud, so all right, two things. One, when I think loud, oftentimes I think distortion. And then two, when I think loud, most of the time when people say loud, they're talking bass. Are you talking bass, or are you talking like loud everything?
The bass was okay. It had better mid bass than anything. Let me see if I can find my picture. I took a picture.
I saw that picture of it. It looks pretty cool. Actually,
while you're digging up the picture, I want to talk about Eminence just a little bit, just to kind of fill the air while you're looking it up. Eminence is located in a town in Kentucky called Eminence, and they actually manufacture the speakers there. They build them. And I was telling a friend of mine about this, and he'd never heard of Eminence. And I said, "You haven't heard of Eminence, but you've heard their speakers. If you've been to a concert, you crack open the giant tower speakers, and they're just open the back and look, hey, Eminence everywhere you go." So again, if you haven't heard of them, but you heard them.
And they do a lot of guitar audio speakers as well, and bass cabinets and things like that.
When I take my youngest child to drum lessons once a week, we have to go through the back door of the local music store, and it's just stacks of Eminence speakers. And just raw drivers there, because they're a full service place. They have DJ equipment they rent out, stuff for live performances they rent out, and when things blow, they've got stacks of raw drivers sitting there to replace them. So
yeah, but it is interesting. A lot of people have questions about that, and I think Bennett did a really good job answering those, much better than me, you, or even probably Geoff will be able to do it, answer those. So
and especially more politically correct than I can. He knows the exact nuances of what to say and what not to say. So
I know he's like, oh, that might be a little inside baseball. I don't know if I can, which is funny because I was just watching Moneyball before we got on. So.
And you got pictures of that motorcycle.
I have one picture for you that I took, and then they got shared by a bunch of people. So here it is.
I saw that picture. I saw, on your Facebook.
Yeah,
that's insane.
What are those, DS18 or?
Yeah, it's an all DS18 build. From what I understand, he had it. It's called the Joker, I think is what people are calling it, and it used to be PRV, and then he got upset with PRV or something to switch to DS18. I have no doubt that there is definitely a chance for these speakers to sound good, like in some sort of application. I don't doubt that. But this application was not it. I mean,
Adrian Bauer, I can hear the tinnitus from that photo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fundamentally, this is wrong on pretty much every level. With comb filtering, I mean, there's probably so many combs you don't know what to do with it. It's
a stunt wall on a motorcycle.
I got to be honest. The first time I saw that photo, I saw you post that photo, and I was thinking, I don't know about that. But it's good to know that you kind of felt the same way. It's cool. Like, it's cool to look at, cool to think about, but maybe in practical application, not so much.
Yeah,
a good friend Blake here, one of my patrons, the fabrication is impressive. I agree. Engineering is amazing on these things, but I just agree they did get some thought to the acoustics. They wanted it to be really loud. I didn't care.
And you know what? I don't even know if the engineering is really so great. The visibility is probably the worst thing ever, and I don't really know how he sat in it. So, I mean, fabrication wise, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff there. Engineering wise,
not so much, yeah.
But it's definitely a cool thing to see. Like, it was great until he turned it on.
It makes for a great picture on Facebook.
That it does.
Yeah.
And no disrespect for the fine gentleman who built and designed that. He put a lot of work into it. And so mad respect for anyone who does that kind of thing.
I can't do it.
Me neither. I love it though. I mean, I think it's cool that you can do it. I always have felt like whenever you want to push the envelope, do it. you'll always learn something, whether it'll be good or bad. I don't know. We'll find out. But push the envelope. People will come up to me and they'll email me or they'll message me, hey, what do you think about this? Or they'll put it on the forum. What do you think about this? And I always say, just try it.
Yeah.
I mean, here's some ideas that I think you might run into, but I don't know anyone that's done it. So try it out and find out.
Maybe you've got the next $1 million idea. So try it.
Yeah.
That's the right attitude to have, especially, I mean, so much of advancements in science and art and engineering is simply the result of someone saying, why don't we try it a little bit different and see what happens?
It's the sticky note. You guys know that Post-it note, right? Everyone uses Post-its now. Post-its was a failed project at 3M. Right. The guy was trying to make actually like really sticky glue and he failed. And so he actually stuck it on paper and was using it on his monitor. And someone came by and saw that and said, that's a good idea. And then, I mean, it took off. I mean, everyone knows 3M from Post-it notes now. I mean, they know them from other things too, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's wild. So I come up with all kinds of ideas. A lot of them probably not that great or not that new. But I always bring it up. I have a group chat with a bunch of SPL friends and I'm like, hey, has anybody ever done this? And then like half the time they don't even like give me the answer I'm looking for. Yes, this is what happened. No, you should try it. It's a test. Go test it. It's like, great. But I'm asking you a question. Like, give me what do you think? I'm looking for I'm trying to throw the ball here. Like, you can play catch a little bit.
Yep. So we've lost Toy. That's fine. So, but I wanted you on because I wanted to see pictures and hear the story behind your competition car. You've built something kind of cool. And I've been seeing pictures on Facebook and I've been wanting to talk about what all you did. So you've got a Honda Element. Is that right?
Yeah.
So tell us about the bit. Show us some pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me show you here.
While you're digging some pictures, I can fill some more time. Is that okay?
No, I'm already.
You got a picture. All right.
Nice little slide I think I can go through. All right. So yeah, this is my Honda Element. It's a 2004. And I was actually planning on selling it last year. I listed it. I asked people. I posted on Facebook trying to sell it. And then I was like, man, I need to build something for a demo car. And I look out and I'm like, I've never seen anybody really do an SPL Honda Element. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I already own the car. I have no liens on it. Let's just go ahead. So I decided to start working on it. So I bought a lot of Vibraflex, and I put a lot of Vibraflex in this vehicle. Not nearly as much as probably what should go in there still, and not as much as a lot of big competition cars, but I spent a lot of time burning myself and having hot Vibraflex bitumen fall on my my hands and skull. Actually, I have a.
And what is that? Vibraflex?
Yes. So it's like bitumen and it kind of like asphalt basically, but it gets rock hard when it's cool or cold. When it gets warm, it becomes more malleable, and when it gets hot, it's like a almost a liquid.
So you heat it up to apply it.
Yep, sure do, and it's dangerous.
It kind of reminds me of. Oh, I'm sorry.
Especially when it's above your head, which is where it's most beneficial on the roof. And you'll notice that the roof of the Element is actually painted white in this picture. And that's because I had the great idea, or somebody offhand mentioned something about RV paint. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I want to put that on there because I imagine it's going to help. And the difference is outrageous because if in the summer I've heard horror stories about Vibraflex falling on people like from their builds because the roof gets so hot. But if you paint it white, obviously you're not absorbing as many UV rays and you're reflecting them. So I decided to go ahead and do it. And my roof the entire time at Slimology, which it was very hot, was cool to the touch.
So now that's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's right. I like it. So from this picture, you can see that in the rear doors, I have a 10-inch coax So I have a 10-inch B&C coax in each of the rear doors, and eventually I plan on doing something a little bit more drastic. But this is the appropriate size and location for what I've got going on right now.
Let me just stop you for a second. So when you say a 10-inch coax, I want to make sure that other people understand what we're talking about, and me for that matter. Yeah. So we're talking about a 10-inch coax. Most people, when you think of a coaxial driver for a car, they think of a speaker with a tweeter kind of in front of the woofer. Mm-hmm. But in the way that this works, it's a woofer, and then you either screw on a compression driver behind it or you bolt it on. Yeah. Does that have a bolt-on compression driver, or does it is it automatically on there?
It's on there.
So you can't replace it with anything else.
No. I mean, you can probably replace the diaphragm with something if it's, but I mean, effectively the compression driver stays the same.
And so the center of your speaker in the front, that's where you can see it. You can see it's see-through material, and then that has a little bit of a cone in there that shoots out the sound through there. Correct?
Yeah.
So like a waveguide.
Yeah, so it is a waveguide, and this is actually there's two different applications or two different styles of coax for like pro audio use. So this style is where you don't have like a giant waveguide out front. Now, the big benefit you get from that is better dispersion typically. This is like a laser. So they are very directional and very high intensity. But
what's the sensitivity on that driver?
What's that?
What's the sensitivity on that driver?
I can tell you if you give me 1 second here.
Sure.
Geoff, you're supposed to know the answer of all these questions ahead of time.
I do. It's just not in front of me.
So, question. So why B&C and not Chiare?
Because right now we have some. We don't have any 10-inch coaxes currently in production for Chiare.
Okay.
We're working on stuff like that right now. We have a huge project list that we're working on of some crazy ideas and some things just to keep up with where the market's going.
Cool.
And that's intended to be like a pro audio driver. So what did when B&C made that driver, what was the intended use? They didn't make it to go in a car door.
No. Typically stuff like this is like stage monitors is like a big use of it. So like if you're on a stage and a musician, you don't need you want something aimed at you so you know what you're listening to. And
right. So that high directivity is an asset in that case.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is interesting because Eminence also makes a product similar to that. Their Beta 10CX and 8CX. And theirs actually is a screw-in. It uses your TPI connection that screws in. And that was the same thing. But those have become very popular in home audio for Atmos speakers.
Absolutely.
So
because the big thing about Atmos is you can actually do like reflections. You can utilize reflections to your benefit. So being highly directional is great in that application.
Yeah.
But so that driver has a sensitivity, not the one in the door, the one I have in front of me here is 97 dB per watt per meter. And
so loud, doesn't need much power.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the low frequency. The high frequency driver is 104.
Good Lord.
Well, that's nothing compared to.
And you can buy amp that, right? You can turn that tweeter down if you needed to.
Yeah, there's two different connections. So you
gotcha.
And then the other one. Now, if you want to see,
there's no crossover on it either. You have to make some type of crossover.
No, you can buy crossovers.
Right, but I'm saying there's none on it.
No, yeah, none directly implemented into the product.
Yeah, because when you think about buying like a coaxial pair of car audio speakers, they usually come with something, even a component comes with something.
A cap on the tweeter, if nothing else. So it's nothing like your car audio coaxial. No comparison at all.
1 second, I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh,
that's just
got to be stupid. Geoff us. Oh, there you go.
Oh wow!
It's the Triax.
Oh my Lord!
That's what 18 HTX 100.
Good Lord!
I gotta be honest. I want to see 3 of those in a front soundstage of a home theater. I think that would be just unbelievable. That'd be so cool. What do those go down to? They probably don't go down too low, like 40, 30 hertz or so. Maybe
like 40 hertz.
40 hertz, yeah. But can you imagine just getting like your 60 hertz from that as well as everything else? Oh my gosh, that'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, it would be pretty wild. I would love to see something like that.
That's insane.
Yeah, this is it's got a coaxial compression driver on the back.
Yeah.
So it's the DCX 464. And obviously the waveguide is not as big as like the ME 464 that we typically pair it with, so it doesn't go down quite as low. But I mean, realistically, this is probably going to play down to like 400, 450, somewhere around there. And then the woofer is going to play up to about 500. Jeez. And it's really, really cool.
Thank you to DIY Hi-Fi for the super chat. That's a name we haven't seen before. We always appreciate the super chats. And there's a question: would this triax do 2-channel? Not sure what you mean by that, but maybe
Jason, like 2 channels audio.
Yeah, if you want to do 2-channel listening, absolutely. If you wanted to run it off 2 channels, that's also doable, as long as you have a large amplifier for the woofer, because we do have crossovers for the DCX 464.
So I think the main question would be for 2-channel is what's the dispersion ratio of that wave or that horn?
Wonderful. You know? Now let me go ahead and pull this up, because we had to make a new category on the B&C website for this product.
I was like, I'm actually on the website trying to find it, and I'm like, I cannot find where it's
there
at.
If you do the drop down menu on products, there is a triaxle menu.
Oh, it's Cameron. Okay,
triax.
That was Cameron. We know Cameron.
So
that's Cameron. Okay.
Cameron's been talking about starting a YouTube channel. My guess he's got a name change probably associated with that.
That's great. I'm happy to hear. He was actually on the Eminence live stream too.
Oh, cool.
Excellent.
Oh, hi, Jason. Jason's one of my good buddies. He was actually the best man at my wedding when I was married.
Oh, fantastic. But he didn't give me $10, so he's not up on the screen. Someone else is. Thank you again for the super chat, Cameron.
So actually, if you did you find that product?
Yeah, it's 60 by 40. It says so 60 horizontal, 40.
Do you want to share your
screen?
Screen, you can show them, because we've got a bunch of different polar plots and everything.
While he's working on that, Jeff, I've got a question for you. The 10-inch coax in your door. Our good friend El Fuego wants to know how much power you're running to it. And then Jason, I was just yanking your chain, man. It's all good. But how much power are you running to the 10-inch coaxial?
So there's a couple iterations now. Since I built this thing and it first played at Slimology, and then I have since changed out a lot of things, just trying to get everything the way I want it. At first I was running about 600 watts each. And I'm going to end up running, I think, about 800 if all goes well each.
Each to the doors.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different polar plots, and we even have directivity plots on there too, so you can see like what the how directional it is.
So it's all right. I know how to read this, but I feel like most people don't quite understand this particular polar graph, because it seems confusing, but it's actually showing it by frequency and what it looks like off axis. But can you explain that to people?
Yeah. So, you're just seeing what I guess it's harder to obviously I want to point it out and show people, but really you're looking at it, and you'll see each frequency each frequency range is represented by a color, and you'll see the different dispersion patterns and what it looks like around. So obviously the lower frequencies are going to have a wider dispersion pattern because they wrap around. So
okay, I'll help you out as well.
Yeah, you go ahead. It's harder for me to go through.
So each one of these lines shows how far down the frequency is, right? So we're going in a circle. So we're at 0 to -6, -12, -18, -24, -30. And that's saying how much that frequency is down based off of the angle, which is this pattern over here. So at 60 degrees, for example, 500 hertz, which is black over here, is what, 6 decibels down. And then what is this? 12 kilohertz is 60 degrees, about 36 decibels down. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah. Generally, the higher frequency, and more than generally, the higher the frequency is, the harder it's going to be to get a wider dispersion. That's why we have big waveguides, and this one is the one that makes the most sense to me. And this is what it looks like. Think of it just like, so the deep red is the kill zone, basically. Like this thing, if you're in line, it's incredibly loud. You're getting full information and wow. But as soon as you start stepping off, you'll see the color change, and it's like a heat map. So obviously that lighter red is going to be still fairly loud, depending on the frequency range there. And as you get out, you'll see that there's some weird dispersion patterns as you go from like distance and frequency. So it's really cool to see stuff like this and be able to. There's the other one. It's really cool to see how all this works because it's like giving you an image of what sound you're hearing or you can hear.
Looks like those ink block tests.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always interesting to see the high frequency one because it's always more directional than everything else. But my question to you is, are these particular maps that we're looking at, are these taken inside that particular waveguide, or are these just general high frequency directivity maps?
These are just the general high frequency maps for the driver. So from a distance.
Okay, so not necessarily in the waveguide.
No, not necessarily. No.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so this thing is wild. We had somebody purchase one. They hit just the batch that's at the warehouse just got there today. So I had the pleasure of informing somebody that they're getting their product in the next few days.
Oh,
and, they're very excited. I believe he is putting it on an enclosure that he will take on and off for shows that attaches to his trailer hitch.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's clever. That's clever.
Yeah, I like it. He called it something, and that's what it was. I think he called it a terror trailer.
That's awesome.
I think that's the name. I think if I remember right, that's what he called it, and I love it.
That's clever. Back to the car, man. Let's show off what else you've done with the car.
Yeah, so we'll go on to, let's start with some of the sound quality stuff so Nick can chill out. So I did some smaller version of the coaxes. This is the 4CXN36 B&C product. And I put one of those in each A-pillar. Now, the great thing about this is that it's also super directional. So there's definitely a hot seat for this. So if I'm demoing for somebody, I can put them in the driver's seat and they're ready. But it sounds good. And I'll show you another picture of how tight this fit was.
Oh, wow.
So that obviously is inside the pillar itself. And
inside the pillar.
But there wasn't a good place to really put it anywhere else. So I did this.
Yeah, because doesn't the magnet
tell me about the
coil...
pillar build process?
What's
What
that?
did you make them out of? Is it fiberglass?
I didn't build these ones. This was actually made by Mick Shuck in Ohio. So he built my RAV4 as well, and he did a great job with that. So I figured that I would have him make my pillars because that's the kind of thing I don't like to do, and he is quite good at it. So here's another up close picture of each one, or of this one at least. So I wanted it to be kind of boxy looking, because the car is obviously a giant box. So
right.
here's the fun in it not.
Well, that's cool.
So while you're talking about the pillars, I want to show you something I've got right here. These are pre-made pillars. It's made for like a 3.5-inch mid and then a tweeter that customspeakerpods.com sent me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to bolt some of these on. And so instead of going through all the labor of making pillars or having to pay someone to do it, these are just going to bolt right on to my to my E-pillars in my truck. And so my plan is to cut a hole. You can get them with the holes pre-cut, and off we go. So that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to trying that out. So that's a neat thing that I've had sitting in a box for a couple of days that I'm looking forward to trying out. They've got these new colors. You can see the kind of the carbon fiber wrap on it. And so they've come up with a whole new line of colors that I'll just pick the one that matches your vehicle the best. So
that's cool. Yeah, I've talked to him a few times. He had some interest in some GI product at one point, and we were just going over talking about it and just talking about what my thoughts are on certain things and going back and forth. And he's a good guy.
They'll even sell. They started selling speakers, so they'll sell you a whole 3-way set and all the pillars and door pods and stuff you need just to bolt them on.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool idea.
I thought that was kind
of
cool. So yeah, that's a pretty clever idea.
Can I just tell you? All right, if you're in contact with this guy, here's something that he needs to work on. I think, my opinion. All right, I'm kind of an idea guy. I like ideas, right? You know, it's really big out here, and I think really all over the place now is UTVs. Man, find some that you can custom bolt on UTVs. I think that would be awesome. I think people would definitely be buying that.
Oh yeah,
I think you're right. A lot of the like Kicker sells UTV stuff that bolts on in the big pods and stuff, but that stuff is I don't know. That comes with their own drivers. It'd be kind of cool if you could just buy the big tubes to bolt on and put your own driver.
And it's gaudy. I've seen people doing custom work now that like puts it up like in the ceiling, for example. It all coming down on them, all built in with the radio and everything. And then if you could make it plug and play, something custom or whatever, or on the A-pillars or whatever, I think that'd be cool.
Who even uses A-pillars nowadays? Listen, I appreciate all locations here because except dash pods. Dash pods are dumb. Even don't even at me because these are almost sitting on the dash. I don't want to hear it.
What do you mean dash pods are dumb? Explain yourself.
Dash pods are dumb. Dash pods are lame. Only lamos use dash pods. A-pillars are the way to go. Or you could be cool like me in my RAV4 where I have under dash horns.
So, hey, Justin, you remember that idea you bounced off my head about where you wanted to place your speakers? I think we should scratch that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, my pickup truck, it's a pretty big vehicle. And if I can get something beyond the A-pillar up close to the glass, I think it would stage better.
It depends. Like every vehicle is different. You can obviously, every vehicle is completely different. Every driver is completely different. Dispersion patterns, range. There's all kinds of variables. But I think that in most applications, as long as you have a nice, the appropriate driver for it, A-pillars are going to yield you better results because you can get better reflections if you have something that has a wide dispersion from like a tweeter. And you can get a wider soundstage in that regard. You might not get as much depth as like a dash pod. I mean, even that's kind of like more layering than anything. But I really appreciate width more than like visual depth.
So getting it out as far as possible to the right and left is what you're saying. There's an advantage to having the A-pillars because you can get out to the right and left.
One of the cooler drive vehicles for stuff like this is like a Civic, like an what is it, like a 20 what?
Yeah, the dash is 10,000 miles long. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also it has that little window pocket.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you do something in that window pocket, you've got depth there or width there and some depth. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds in that regard.
Yeah, I can see that because you got that heavily raked windshield and that window pocket in those. Yes, I've got a friend who has one of those Civics, and I thought the same thing when I got in his car. It's all like, oh, you can put a speaker there, buddy.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let me see what else I've got. I guess we should probably get to the good stuff. Yeah.
It depends on what you define as good.
Well, we'll start with. So those
Okay.
are two 10-inch arrow ports that I have, and the enclosure. I think I have. I don't have a very good picture of them, but so we've got that there. The two 21-inch iPals.
Oh, you did go with the iPals, the B&C iPals.
Oh yeah, no, I went with the iPals for sure. So the original enclosure I had was for obviously the 221 iPals, and I still have the enclosure. I still plan on probably using it for testing, but I have a new project where there is nothing in the element right now as far as subwoofers, because I designed something a lot of fun, and I guess I should probably show that because I feel like that's more impressive. So let me see if I can change that and go ahead and share a new one.
So a pair of 21s. While you're pulling that up, what kind of SPL numbers did you do at the show?
Oh, like 4,000 watts in testing. Like not at a show, I've done like a 156.34 or something like that.
Okay.
I'm like 4,000 watts.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what's impressive about it, right? I mean, because most people are like, I mean, well, I think 156 is impressive personally, but
Yeah.
but you know, the fact that you're not using nearly the amount of wattage that other people are doing, which also would make me believe that you'd have to do less to your electrical than some other people are as well, as far as investing in that.
Mm-hmm. So to answer Blake's question, the reason they were firing to the side is that's a popular enclosure for explorers, and I wanted to try it to start off, and I'm glad I did, because once I tested firing up, I lost on output. So in Explorers and Honda Elements, if you decide to do a no wall, firing to the side is definitely a gain over firing up.
So you got a gain increase by doing that.
Yeah.
Definitely one of those things where SPL builds a large part of it is just figuring out which way to aim the sub so that you get that magic sweet spot in your car.
It's not even the subs more often than not. It all just depends. It can be a combination of between that and the port. The port, gotcha. I mean, at FS, what's doing most of that work is the port.
I found out that, and for my car, to get the least amount of SPL possible, I have to put my wife in the back.
All right, you ready?
Let's see it. So tell us what we're looking at here.
This is a triple 18 iPal enclosure, which is about 11 cubes after displacement. So let me go back.
I mean, that's pretty small for 21s.
Yeah, but then you also have to think those are two 10-inch external arrow ports.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's. I mean, what I'm saying is that's pretty awesome that you can get that out of that small of a box.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does look relatively small, but it's also, so this enclosure width is like 48 inches. So it's 48 inches and 28 inches tall, and depth is actually 20 inches.
So just for comparison's sake, in my home theater, I built two 24-inch sealed enclosures. They're 24 by 24 by 24. Two of those. So they're 48 inches wide by 24 inches tall by 24. I mean, it's basically the same internal cubic. What is that? About 6? What'd you say? How many? About 6 cubic feet? Or
no.
About 12 cubic feet. I mean,
no. When I did the fill test on this, it came out to about 11 cubes.
So it's actually smaller because, well, I mean, bracing and stuff. But yeah, mine's about 12 cubic feet. So that's, and you're doing 3. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said 318s?
Yeah, this is like a CRX style box, but in a Honda Element instead. So
no, you said 321s, didn't you?
No, the old one was 221s.
This is 318.
Yeah.
That's why I was so confused. I
So
thought
it's a little bit more cone area too. Not a ton, but a little bit more.
And which drivers are you going to use?
The 18 iPals.
Same one, just the 18-inch version.
Yeah.
iPal.
Oh,
That's what you're going to use? Good Lord.
Let's talk about probably the most efficient subwoofer on the market. Yeah, the 18 iPal is incredible in every respect. People just they'll learn at finals this year. We're doing a lot of work on the team Chiari and B&C. We're doing a lot of work on this, and the numbers have been very impressive.
And that's a B&C driver.
Yes. Yeah.
So
That's
what
insane.
do you project you'll hit?
I'm not making assumptions on stuff like that.
Oh, come on. You just said it's very impressive. I'm excited about you.
Yeah, well, this enclosure looks very impressive. This driver is very impressive, but it's all application. And I am not a master or even the novice. I know to be frank, the best way to describe it is my knowledge is jack shit on fluid dynamics. So I can't really help out on like projections. I hope to do well. That's the best that I can say. I hope to do well in my class.
I think our viewers want more.
I can't do that. I'm not going to put myself in a corner like that where I plan on hitting 173 decibels with this.
Oh, 173. Yeah. Okay, there it is.
We got the number. We got commitment.
Yeah, no, I don't want to put myself in that, or like where I'm getting my hopes up and I tell people like, oh yeah, this is going to do huge numbers. And then like I go and do it and the design fails because it happens. You know, you spend a lot of time and effort getting something right and money, and then you test it and it just flops because it happens. Because this isn't as much of a science as it is like an art. It's both. But, you know, sometimes you fail. You've got to test everything. So I hope it does well, but I'm not going to put any numbers on the table for something like that. And there's a lot of great people doing big numbers in this class. So, you know, I just hope to keep up.
What kind of amplifiers are you running for these things?
So I originally on the 221s, I had a Sound Digital 20K. And
which you had for sale. Did you sell it?
No, so the Sound Digital 20K, I had one of my teammates had two of them and like, hey, I really think I want a third one. I'm like, wonderful. So let me do this. And then I traded in for amplifiers that like overall less power, but the value is pretty close to the same on the used market. So I have right now, if anybody's interested, I do have two Sundown Salt 3s for sale. Please message me if interested. I will sign them, or you can pay me not to sign them.
Those are good amps. I know both Justin, I believe, and Big D Wiz both appreciate those amplifiers.
Oh yeah, they're great. The problem with them for my application was before I just said, yeah, that's fine. I'll go ahead and use those. And my entire system runs 16 volt. The batteries are 14 volt batteries, but I charge at like 16 volt exactly. So those amps don't like 16 volt. It's like 15.3. And I didn't want to take out a diode and go through all of that or get an adjustable one because everything else works perfectly right now. So I didn't want to lose voltage for no reason. So I decided to put those up for sale, and I bought the Ruthless Audio amplifiers. I bought two of the 1500.4s, which I'm using for all the speakers in the car. And then for the subwoofers, I bought two 4500s. So I have them strapped.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And tell me about your electrical. What kind of alternator have you got?
Yeah, so I have a Brand X. Alternator, and Jonathan's awesome people. He's in Ohio, and he makes some awesome product, and he is a good friend of mine. And I love everything about what he does. He puts a lot of time and effort into it. Right now, no, it don't do anything. But it did actually
on the computer.
Yeah. Actually, I have a picture. Go ahead.
What are you doing for batteries?
I actually have 3 Brand X. They're 6K batteries, so they're LTO batteries.
Excellent. And so you're charging at 16 volts. I'm assuming you have some kind of external voltage regulator or something like that.
Nope.
How does the Honda? My vehicle has some kind of voltage regulator tied to the ECU, and it doesn't like to get above 13.9 unless everything's just perfect. And so I put a nice big alternator on it, but my voltage still sucks because I'm getting plenty of amperage. It's doing fine, but you know, if it doesn't need the power, the ECU's all like, nah, we don't need it. We don't need that kind of voltage. So no external voltage at all. That Honda just was all like, great, I'll let you have all the voltage you want.
Yeah, I put some diodes in there, and that's about it. 2 diodes and everything. Electrical is perfectly fine at 16 volt. I don't have any issues. All the electronics inside work. I imagine if I went too much above where I'm at now, I'd probably have some burnt electronics inside somewhere.
And this is why you use the 2004 model that you were trying to sell anyways, because I mean, it's depreciated, right? I'm sure it's a great vehicle, but it's depreciated. So if you happen to short something out or if something gets a little crazy, it's not the end of the world, right?
Well, the entire thing's full of foam. So like, let's be honest. It's kind of lost all of its value to anybody that doesn't do SPL anyway.
Yep.
I put a lot of pour foam in this thing, and that also wasn't fun. Just that if anybody ever is considering this, like, hey, I wonder if I should do pour foam. It's like, how dedicated are you? Because it's not fun. There's nothing redeeming about it except for structural integrity purposes, and it sucks.
And that's like the spray foam in a can stuff, but
no, this is pour foam. No. It's the same stuff.
Oh, pour. You said pour. Okay, I missed that part. They mix it together in 2 parts, pour it into every.
Yeah, he didn't mean like rich foam versus pour foam.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. But
how much weight do you think you've added in sound deadening and foam in that vehicle, and how well does that Honda handle the extra weight?
Yes.
176.
It probably hasn't. It probably hasn't overall. That definitely added weight, but I also removed pretty much all of the interior, as you can see from those photos. It's like I don't have back seats anymore. I don't have most of my headliner. I don't have a spare tire. I mean, overall, it's enough that like I towed my trailer full of like audio stuff to shows with it, and the Element does just fine. I'm able to go like 80 miles an hour and not have an issue.
So with all that weight and sound deadening, you're using it to tow your trailer to shows. It's a Honda Element.
Yeah,
I'm impressed with the Honda Element. I didn't think it was. That sounds like a little beast.
Yeah, what is that? Like a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder in there?
Yeah, it's a 4-cylinder. It's a K24. So it's got lots of torque.
I was about to ask if you were trailering it to the show, but no. This is you're driving it to the show and hauling a trailer. This is.
Oh yeah.
People twerk, big G torques.
So tell me this: why did you go for an SPL build instead of a sound quality build with this one?
Because I've been building sound quality cars and like competing in sound quality for years, and it's fun. But I thought it was when I first got into audio, I was living in Washington, and I was getting ready to go to what is now a very big show, Surf City Sound Off, and this was in 2013, and I got into an accident going to pick up some equipment. And somebody rear-ended me in another boxy car that I had. It was a Scion XB. Somebody rear-ended me at like 55 miles an hour, and I was pretty much stopped. So I had to go through like a year of physical therapy to be able to turn my neck again. And it was a rough time. So I basically, that was all said and done, I was like mooching off my parents for a while because I couldn't work. And I told them, like, listen, I feel guilty about this. I'm going to go do my own thing now. I'm moving to Ohio. And it's like, what? Why? But I had friends out here that did car audio, and that's kind of what I was really going through at the time. So I decided I'm just going to do it. So I moved out here, and I was doing SPL stuff. I was out there. Like, I was getting ready to go to this competition, and I had 2 SA8s, and I think I had a VFL 100.1, an American bass amp at the time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for the show. About to go rock this shit. And I probably was not going to rock this shit anyway. Let's be real honest here. So I just decided that I was just going to do sound quality. It was easier, cheaper, and I felt like I could get into it. And I did pretty well for like all the time I was competing. You know, I placed many times at finals, but you know, I met a lot of good friends, but I really just like the SPL stuff. It's a lot of fun, and I like the pro audio side of things. I've always have, but haven't. Now that I can definitely make a living also doing it, it's fun. It's a lot more fun.
And how much support did you get from the companies you work for these things? They just were just like, here's the drivers, good luck, or do you have to out of pocket all of that, or they help you at all?
It just depends on like what I'm doing and how much I can sell it. You know, Bennett and B&C helped me out a lot, making sure that I can get the things that I need and able to market it. But I do buy stuff out of pocket, and he tells me not to, but I do it anyway because I feel guilty. So, and he knows it, and hopefully he isn't listening, even though I'm pretty sure he said he might be. But what's up, Bennett?
So,
I felt the same way taking things from people. I know I'm promoting their product and everything, but I feel the same way. You know, there's times where I don't even like to ask for things. I will say this at Parts Express. They wanted to send me over an amplifier for my subwoofers, you know, to power the home theater subwoofers and everything. And I was like, oh, let's just do the XLS series or whatever. And that's what I figured I was getting. Someone over there, I'm not going to mention who, but Mad Props, you and I both know, said, no, you're getting the XTI. And I was like, oh, okay. Because the XTI is a huge jump up in price from the XLS. And I definitely did not ask for it. But they sent it to me, and I'm forever grateful. I mean, I'm definitely grateful for everything Parts Express has done for supporting my channel, and I think they've also done a good job supporting Justin's. I mean, I can see some work right behind him. But not only that, Geoff has been doing an amazing job getting Chiare. I swear, everywhere I look, like before Chiare came to America, I mentioned this on the Eminence broadcast that I talked about earlier. I'd never heard of Chiare. They just weren't really an American brand. So, and but now I hear them all the time. Geoff's whole timeline, Chiare. Like I can't go a show a day without seeing it.
Yeah, I'm working on it. And funny enough, so at one point I ran across this website, and like it had to have been 2012 or 2011. And I was like, what brands are people running? Like, what is some of the more esoteric stuff out there? So I found this website. And it's
like esoteric, for example.
Yeah, exactly. like the Diamond Audio esoteric stuff. So I was like going through it. It had like tiered. It was like great brands, and it was like all of these brands. And like somewhere between like the great and the good, I remember seeing this brand. I'm like, Sierra. What is this? And I looked it up. I looked at the stuff. I'm like, oh, all right, and then moved on. But I remember hearing the brand, and then like when I went to go work for B&C, it was just supposed to be B&C, and then it's like, all right, we need somebody to like do the Chiare stuff, and I'm like, what is it? And I looked at it, I'm like, I know that brand.
I know them.
But yeah.
You did. Let me say thank you to Trap House TV for the $5 super chat. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on the Ally Express 12 channel DSP? We're just talking about Ally Express and Satan. I mean, Timu earlier before the show started. Not rich like Justin, can't afford that mini DSP. Let me tell you the story behind the mini DSP. I bought that, and it sat in a closet for a year and a half before I got around to installing it. And I bought it back before like all the prices for everything shot up as a result of the pandemic. And so I paid a lot less for it than you would pay for it today. And it's one of those things where it was a higher end, this the 8x12. And it's a good DSP. I don't know if I'd recommend it or not now that I've gotten it. I think there are others that are just as good at the same price. But back then it was kind of a bargain, and it was about the cheapest 12 channel out DSP you could find. And
can he share a link to that DSP?
Well,
I don't know which one he's talking about.
So if he's interested in a good price on the 12 channel mini DSP, guess who happens to have one and is looking? Somebody offered me something else to try to support their brand.
Gotcha.
So if he does
got
want
one for
to
sale.
Yeah, he can go ahead and send me a message on Facebook or whatever, and I will be glad to sell him a mini DSP.
And I have no experience with the AliExpress 12 channel DSP, but it's one of those things where if it's a good price, why not give it a shot and see what happens? Because that mini DSP 8x12 right now is new price. It's kind of a heart attack kind of price. Whoa, that's kind of heavy.
One of the things that Elliott Designs has taught me a lot about is to check to see what chip the DSP uses, the DSP chip.
Mm-hmm.
I did not understand that at the beginning of looking at DSP. So, for example, the DSP 408, for example, I'm not the DSP 4. Well, actually, it is the DSP 4. Let me go back. Let me go to the KBD boards. They actually use the same chip, so it doesn't matter. 408 actually uses 2 of them, I believe, and KBD uses them. But they use the ADAU 1701, I believe. Mm-hmm. And the way that you can do certain, depending on what you want to do, limits how much you can do with it. So, for example, I recently did a build with Tom Zarbo, and I got this thing plus or minus 1 decibel. It's amazing. But I was trying to do linear phase. With linear phase, I can only do 500 total out of all 4 channels of corrections on it. And then that's it. I'm done. Okay. Now, with something like the mini DSP, for example, I can do 10,000. That's a huge difference. And out of the 4 channel, I don't know how much out of the 12 channel, but out of the 4 channel. So 500 corrections, 10,000 corrections. So is it worth that price difference? Well, I guess that depends on what you need to do with it, but there's a huge difference in the actual DSP chip.
Yeah, and actually one of the biggest limiting factors for like the DSP 408, since I also helped develop the software for it and went through and was the person that like released it and all that fun stuff. The time alignment increments and actual capability is overall limited by the DSP chip. So people were like, "Oh, I wish you had like smaller increments," and it's like, yeah, me too. And it just doesn't work. Like, can't you just change it in the software? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but you're stuck with it.
Because what's the next chip? It's a 1452 or 14,
yeah, I think
something like that.
Yeah,
and then that one does significantly more.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a nice chip. They're all pretty nice chips, especially they all have their purpose, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not talking bad about the DSP4 because the DSP 408 has 2 of those, so it can do twice the amount as a KBD board, but it's still limited when you compare like 1,000 to 10,000 or 30,000 or whatever the difference. So yeah, that's what Blake said. The time alignment is definitely the weakest link on the 408. And it needs a compressor and limiter.
Listen, I don't, out of respect for Parts Express, I can't comment on all of the things I told them to do because it may come up, and hopefully they're working on it because I'm not sure. But that is 100% a thing I told them to add. That is one of the probably 20 things that I said we should do this, or make a separate one that is more pro audio oriented in and of itself and do it that way.
So can I ask a quick question? I've never used the 408.
Yeah.
Can the 408, I know you can use an app, but can it still hook up to Sigma Studios or no?
Yeah, no. You can. You can.
Oh, we can?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure because I remember our software engineer at the time going in and doing stuff. I'm pretty sure he was doing it on the 408 itself.
So if that's the case, is there any more? Does it open up any other possibilities or no?
I think maybe a little bit, not as,
but not really.
Like, you're not going to be able to change the increments of time alignment. That's, that's just the maximum that you can do. You can only go so fine with this.
This helps us roll back to the original question. You can look, hopefully, the specs on that AliExpress DSP will give you that information. That mini DSP I have does have a compressor / limiter on it. I've not turned on that feature. I don't think I need it for what I'm doing, but there's not a lot that it won't do DSP wise. So,
and at least what chip it uses. It should say at least the ADAU whatever. Should tell you at least that, I would imagine.
I'm in talks with the Team Pie seller, and it's supposedly the Nakamichi unbranded version, $399. Yeah, they look a lot alike. They look a lot alike.
I have a hard time doing stuff like that because, like, listen, the one thing that you're going to have the biggest problems with, the most questions on, and all that is going to be your DSP or source unit, and just not having the support that you might possibly need just seems like a bad idea. If I'm going to spend money on anything, it's going to be the DSP, just to make sure that I get something that I'm not going to have to regret later, buy something else and waste more money.
What Geoff is saying is buy his.
Yeah, if you want to buy it, I am more than happy to sell it to you. But really, I've owned Helix, Arc Audio, Mini DSP, Zapco. I've owned all of them, and obviously the DSP 408. And I have a lot of respect for people doing this tech support on that, because I did the tech support on the DSP 408, and I hated my life. For the first 3 months, I think they said, I was kind of like on call to a degree. Like, if I got emails and I was at home, I basically answered the emails as soon as they came in, so that way we didn't get any negative reviews. So I can't imagine trying to work myself through a product that had no support.
A way to be really easy to use, and it did have its drawbacks, but I thought it was a fantastic DSP, and at the time it was the cheapest DSP out there, and did an admirable job of doing everything I ever asked it to do.
So, all right. So I think back to the original, we would say pass on that and try to get yourself the DSP 12 channel from, or whichever one, 12 channel. Yeah. From Mini DSP, if you can first. Mm-hmm. And then if you can't, then maybe try that out, but just realize that you might be just throwing $400 away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
or it could work.
Cheap.
But, yeah.
It might work. I mean, yeah, no one's saying it won't. We're just saying
we're hoping for the best, whatever you decide to do.
But none of us have experience with it.
So thanks for the second super chat, by the way. Thank you, Trap House TV.
Okay,
what's your Facebook?
I just shared it, but
if you search that name, Geoff Schneider with a G there, you're going to be seeing like a really ugly bald guy, and that's going to be me. Yeah, you'll see me.
If you get another ugly bald guy, that's not him.
I think I'm wearing a hat and sitting in the Honda Element, so I think that makes it even more noticeable.
I feel like there's probably no one else. Have you ever gone to that website? How many are there, or how many?
I've seen so many people that supposedly look like me to even like consider doing something like this.
No. I'm gonna look it up right now. How many are there? You go to this website and you type in your name, and then it tells you how many in the world there are of your name.
I know that there's a professor that has my name because I looked at every time. Well, I tried searching myself once to be like that guy, and unfortunately, I am that guy. And the professor came up well before I ever did. So
I can't find the actual.
I've seen the website.
Like how many are there? Yeah, I've used it before. I was like 101 when you spell my name. I was like, dang.
So I want to circle back onto something. I'd ask how much support you'd gotten from the company you work for your builds. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, well, you usually just kind of buy it, and sometimes they help you out and you're appreciative. And that's something I've always kind of struggled with, because every now and then someone wants to send me something, and then I've got to make a video on it whether I want to or not. And that sometimes is a challenge. So I oftentimes just buy what I need. And that gives me the flexibility, because when you're dealing with a company, they'll sometimes send you what they want to promote as opposed to sending you what you actually need. And so that's kind of tricky. So I'm one of those that I don't really want free product from companies. I'd rather just kind of figure it out on my own sometimes.
Yeah,
it's kind of tricky, right? Because what if they want you to run a particular speaker and they'll give it to you and it's a good deal because it's an expensive speaker, but it's not what you really need.
Yeah,
you've got to deal with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you, like, the reason that we send stuff to people like at Parts Express, it's like, hey, we've got this new product coming out. Do you want to use it? You don't? Cool. Well, you're not getting free stuff. On to the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
I do remember when you guys got a new marketing guy in at Parts Express, they messaged me on a product that I'd already used. I actually had done... I went to Midwest Audio Fest and did a whole presentation on it. It was these little, what do you call it? The exciters.
Yes.
And they're like, do you want to do a video on these exciters again? Or, well, they said, do you want to do a video on this? And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I've already done enough. And I didn't hear anything back from him again for a while. But I was like, but I also was busy, so it didn't really matter. But I was like, no, I've done so many for you guys for exciters. What else can I say? I mean, there's other things I could do, but although I will say this, Parts Express just got some exciters in. And the thing that I always hated about the exciters was how to attach them to the wall or attach them to whatever. And then if you wanted to remove them and reattach them or what, is a pain. And they came out with this new system that you attach the system to whatever it is. And then you just kind of like screw in the exciter to it. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Yeah. So then you want to remove the exciter or remove the base and try it on something else, you can.
So Jeff, I got a question for you. Give me a recommendation for something like this, a pod like this, or with a tweeter like a 3.5. What does CRA sell that you would recommend for that setup?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, really, we've got a product that's coming out from the pro audio side that I would probably recommend. This one isn't really, it's not really pro audio. It's something that we're doing for an OEM customer and we're going to end up selling, but it is not available yet. And it's a very nice 3-inch full range. And at some point it will be available and then I would gladly recommend it. But as of right now, we don't have much in terms of usable small drivers for something like that.
Well, Cherry does mainly a little bit bigger. Oh, just follow. Yeah. What, Jeff? You have Instagram.
I have a what?
Just start following.
Oh, that's our OnlyFans. Oh.
Regardless, Dan, we thank you for the $2 super chat. $1.99 will be well spent on probably tweeters for this.
Probably, yeah. He's like one of the nicest guys ever. He's been one of my patrons for a long time. Just been awesome. Such an encouraging guy. Every time I post a video, he says something good. But I was just gonna say, can we highlight that? Because man, I know we are all thinking about you, Ashley. Ashley's been one of our longtime followers for a long time, and it's not good hearing things like that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that you hadn't been able to work and a stent. That's not good news. That's heart problems. I hope that you're recovering well and things are going well for you.
Yeah, that's awful.
Oh, a stint. I was thinking like a stent, like in jail.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I did know what he meant. But Ashley, no, seriously, we really do want you to get well very, very quickly.
All right.
So real quick, before we, I know we're going to get going soon. I just want to make a plea to everyone that's watching. If you guys have not subscribed to DIY Hi-Fi's channel, he does have 2 videos out now. He's just starting out. He's 3 away from 100. And anyone that started out, yes, anyone that started 2
videos, he's got 100 subscribers.
I know, it's
with
good.
2 videos.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That's pretty good.
Get on the bandwagon quick. Before he blows up.
I have 0 videos on YouTube.
And he has 1,000 subscribers.
I have a lot of OnlyFans, yes.
No, but seriously, go ahead and consider subscribing to him. He's got 2 videos out, pretty awesome, and he's always supported us very well. So definitely support him back. I am one of the almost 100 subscribers, but I'd love to see him get to 100 subscribers today. I think that'd be really cool.
Is somebody talking trash about Sony Explodes in this chat while I've got my extra bass Sony Explode radio right here?
Well, if it says extra, it must have it.
It does. It says it right there. You can see it. extra bass.
Extra bass.
I don't want to hear any more trash talk. Please get that out of here.
Did you just 3D print that case for that Sony Explode?
Yeah, I did. And it's got a little Chiara logo on it too.
Clever.
Yeah.
Wait,
so I like
doesn't need any cooling at all?
No.
No, not the Sony Explodes. They're unbreakable.
So this doesn't have a CD mech. It's a mechless unit. Not using the amplifier section on it. It is just going to be to run outside the vehicle and do fun stuff. I honestly, I love doing CAD design, and I taught myself how to do it when I was at MCM when they started selling 3D printers. I'm like, I think I want to learn how to do this. So I got on there. Somebody showed me like how to make basic shapes. I'm like, cool, thank you. And then I started my own business, printed acoustics, back when I used to 3D print all the time. And
now, Justin, you are a subscriber of DIY Hi-Fi, right?
Not yet. I'm not going to subscribe right now because I was just a crappy internet connection. That if I open another browser, I'll drop out of this one. But as soon as we're done with the stream, I'm going to subscribe because Cameron has been such a huge supporter of our channel and what we do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to support him right back. And I'm blown away that he's almost at 100 subscribers with 2 videos.
No, he's at 100 now.
He's at 100 already.
He's just at 100.
Bank right here.
That is awesome.
And Brian Steele was one of the ones that got him there. Now I'm sure. Oh, True Voice of Region was the one that got him to 100. So you guys are awesome, man. Appreciate that.
We're more effective. Never mind. We're
Dan Russell is 99. Look at that, you guys. Now this is what we call
a super chat, gentlemen.
Seriously, this is what we call like community, like this is what we want with the audio community, right? Like everyone's supporting each other. What's it really take to become a subscriber of a YouTube channel, right?
This is one of those things. When I think about other people who post YouTube videos, no matter if they're big channel, small channel, anything in between, I never take the attitude this is a competitor. I always take the attitude this is a collaborator. And like there's a Facebook group some of us are in, and it's handy to be able to like compare notes, go, hey, here's something I'm having trouble with, and whatnot. And so I always view everyone in the community as just another partner in the community. It's not a competition. I'll make the best videos I can. You make the best videos you can. And when one of my YouTube friends succeeds, I'm out there applauding. I don't know if y'all saw this. Parker the bass head hit 100,000 subscribers recently, and he actually played the video on his channel. A bunch of us got together and put together a little way to go, good job video for him. I'm the one who edited it. So he gave me some credit for that, but I just edited other people's stuff, so it wasn't a big deal. But we want to see people succeed. All right, we want to see people. We want, because success is hard to come by in this world. We want to see Geoff, hit that 175 he said he was going to hit with his 318.
Oh no, I think it was 178.
I think he said 182.
It might have been 190.
I think he said he's going to set the world record and hold the world record for the next 10 years.
Well, yeah. that would be RP. Yeah, RP definitely has the world record and is holding on to that.
I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna.
RP Patel in Indiana has the world record for the loudest vehicle.
Did you say in Indiana or India?
Indiana.
Okay.
I saw him post something. I don't know if this one was legal or not, but there's a picture that was posted on his timeline, and it was like it had a 187 on it. But previously, he's like at finals last year, he was at like 186.6 or something.
That's it. 187. You can easily beat that. 187.
Yeah, just a couple more iPals, and I am good to go. Yeah,
just do like 8 iPals, and you're fine. By the way, just so you guys know, DIY Hi-Fi is thanking everyone here. He said, you guys are too nice. You guys made my night. And, it's good to give back. I know I personally love to give back. I know Justin does too. Geoff, I'm not sure about. But no, Jeff's always giving back, actually. Geoff has been an amazing giver. He's actually supported both of our channels. And he actually helped my wife out when we were out there for the speaker design competition.
Yeah, she needed a good date, so we went had candlelit dinner, and Thanks for watching.
Actually, that's not true.
No.
She asked him about where. Well, actually, you know what? Actually, I think you offered. She didn't even ask you, right?
Yeah. So like, we were in Springboro in Ohio where Parts Express is, and I've taken my kids to. It was Kids Clubhouse, so it's like an indoor play structure area, and it's huge. Just tons of stuff for kids to do, for every age. And they were talking about trying to find something, going to a park, and it was stupid hot outside. And I'm like, don't do this. Don't do this to the poor kids. You can't. And like, just go to the indoor play place, and it's like $7 a kid or something, and unlimited time. You just go in there and stay as long as you want. They have Wi-Fi, a little cafeteria area, just anything.
And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And they didn't have to stay for the speaker design competition. So they loved that. It worked out perfectly for everyone. It was actually good for everyone. So good.
Yeah, it was a good time. I had a lot of fun at that show.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people miss that haven't been to that show, is that you don't have to go to bring a project. You can just go for the camaraderie. I talk to everyone that wants to talk to me. Some people don't want to talk to me. Some people do. I don't care. I had people come up to me. I had people come up to me, and it meant a lot to me. That came up to me and just thanked me for the channel and that they really liked it and things of that nature. And little things like that, you don't think about it, but it could really make your day that that there's people out there that really care about what you're doing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Apparently,
Baba
a lot of
coming in with the super chat, Baba. Thank you so much. That's why the audio community follows guys like us. I'm just humbled every day that anybody follows me at all. Every time I see the subscriber count go up by one, I think to myself, what a blessing, and awesome people in the community like Baba that provide support for us, and hang out on our live streams, hang out with us. It's been one of the most positive experiences of my life posting videos to YouTube.
Although I did read that at the beginning. That's why a lot of us in the audio community follow DIY Audio Guy and Toyd is more like as a sympathy thing. Like, yeah, we're less like, yeah, I guess we'll follow him too.
I'll take sympathy. Sympathy's fine.
Yeah. No, thank you guys. But Geoff, you were saying something. What were you going to say?
I got distracted by all of the wonderful people.
I was saying something about it really meant a lot for people to come forward and say, just at the thing that they watched the channel and things of that nature, which a lot of people did, and I really appreciated that.
Apparently, a lot of people know me. Like, I really don't think I make that big of like an impression. I feel like I do more now, but like when I worked at Parts Express, I was just trying to get people's attention. That's where all these people know me from. These people don't know me from like being on Facebook and stuff. Everybody's like, Geoff, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they start talking to me and telling me where they like know me from. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm glad you like whatever you bought. And then, it's just cool to see.
While I was there, I had to buy this because it said this on it. I was like, all right, I'm buying this. It was $8. I'm like, I'm buying this.
It's an empty box.
Oh, Justin, you're supposed to guess. What do you think is in there? You think it's an empty box?
It's an empty box.
Geoff already knows.
Wait, was this the prototype amp? Was it an amp or speaker?
It was this thing. Yeah.
Oh man, I remember that thing. Yeah.
I'm sure it's not like great, but I was like, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about putting this in my go-kart.
No, it actually isn't that bad. If I remember right, Geoff Stahl didn't like it. He had a specific expectation of what he wanted that project to look like, and that was not it. So
a lot of people sell these types of things. Like, although the only thing I don't think it has a back plate. I don't know how the heck I'm gonna like.
Does it have a screw mount in the back?
Well, it does have a hole has holes that looks like it mounts to. Maybe I just drill the hole out and just screw the holes in. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
It'd be really cool.
It actually has an instruction manual, but
it'd be really cool to get the owner of Parts Express. He said his name was Geoff. I know his last name's Stahl. Stahl Tools, one of their brand of tools that's named after him. It'd be kind of cool to have him on the show. I mean, what would it take to get a guy like that who runs a company to come join us?
I don't know if he's really interested in that kind of a thing.
Some of those kind of boss guys like that are camera shy. You know, they don't want to be the public face of the company.
He's kind of like, Geoff is a great guy, and he's been doing this for so long. But I feel like he deserves to have one foot out the door. I don't know if he does, but he deserves it. He's put in so much time and so much effort, and when I was there, he was still involved with projects, which is wild because he started the company in like the 80s and has been pushing through and powering through this whole time. But he's in Florida a lot of the time, and he likes to do stuff with his family and likes to go just spend time by himself. So I don't know how tempted he would be to get on something like this, but
you know, when you spend a couple of decades building a business, you have the right to spend time with your family after that.
Yeah, he worked nonstop. I would listen to his stories whenever we would talk about like him traveling, and like sometimes he would take 4 trips to China a year and stuff like that, and like multi-week trips. And and when I went on my trip to China with him, I got back and I didn't get to see my family. I had my son was like 8 months old or something when I left, and he told me to take the next week off, so I could spend time with him. So
yeah,
and without using PTO, he gave me a free week of vacation off.
That's kind.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I've met Geoff a few different times, but I agree with the other Geoff that I don't think that's really anything that he would be that interested in. I'm sure we could get someone else on, like Brian, for example. I bet we get Brian on.
Yeah, you could get Brian. There's a lot of people that would probably make a lot of sense. I bet you could get Crispy.
We've had Chris on a few times.
You have had Chris on here?
Yeah, Chris Perez. We're talking about. Right?
We've had Chris on, a good fellow. Speaking of Brian Townsend with the $5 super chat for all the great content you guys share with us. We share it because we hope you enjoy it. And when you give us $5, we know you've enjoyed it. So thank you.
Yeah, it's true. You know, this has been a great episode. But what were you going to say? Who were you going to say? Now I'm curious who you're going to say.
Matt.
I don't think I know Matt.
You know, he's tall guy, glasses, like brownish grayish hair.
You know who I wouldn't mind having on sometime though is he I met him at the show and I can't think of his name. I think it's Jason, maybe.
Jason Merriman.
Yeah, is he younger guy that did the DSP work on the
Jason stayed at when he was interning. He lived in Columbus, and he needed a place to stay because there was a lot of travel. So he stayed at my house for a few weeks. And he's one of the like lifelong friends that I met at Parts Express. Like whenever he's in town and he gets the chance to hang out, he calls me up and we go do something, and he hangs out with my kids, and they love him, and he's good people.
Yeah, I only talked to him for a very, very short amount of time there, but I really liked him. I was like, you know what, like this is someone I would have on the show for sure. And he was very humble about what he did.
Always.
So for those of you who have done bought or looked into like the KABD boards, like the 4100 and those, he designed all those presets that you see in there. Like he did all that backwork, legwork, which is really, really tough. I actually talked to someone else. He did not tell me this. I talked to someone else. I can't remember who it was, but they told me that Sigma Studios actually found out that he did that and contacted him and thanked him as well for all the work that he did, because that's a hard program to learn, Sigma Studios.
I can't do it. I can open it up and I can get like some real basic commands done, but beyond that, I am lost. But there is one downside to Jason, and I feel like it needs to be said online so everybody knows. The man does not eat soup, and there's a lot of problems with that.
What? He doesn't eat soup?
He doesn't eat soup. No soup.
What?
None. He will not eat it.
I guess he wouldn't have made that Seinfeld episode either.
No, absolutely no soup for him.
No soup for him. No soup for you. He'd be like, thanks. Give me a sandwich.
I didn't want it anyway. Yeah, he's great. We talk food pretty much every time we hang out. He tells me about a new restaurant that I have to go try, and he's very, very health conscious. So it's always like healthy food, but turns out to be wonderful. Like there's a chain that's kind of like Chipotle called Brassica, which is it's lots of foods from the Brassica family, so like broccoli and stuff like that. But it's wonderful, and he always has the best recommendations for me.
Gentlemen, I just want to this for an hour and 25 minutes. So go ahead and do what you're going to say. Go for it.
I was just going to say, thank everyone that became a subscriber to DIY Hi-Fi. Make sure to do that if you haven't. It's Wise, DIY, and then HYFY. He's up to 109 subscribers, guys. I mean, I think we could definitely get him. The mark now is 500 subscribers. I think we could get him there. So I'd love to see him get to his first video has over 5,000 views.
Really?
Yeah, it's impressive.
I've got some recent videos that don't have that many views.
I'm telling you, like, that's great. It's fantastic. Anyway, you're right. We need to get going.
All right. Last words. Nick, what do you got coming up on your channel next?
So let me show this with you guys. So I've been very lucky to get not only in the hold on, let me sorry.
Whoa.
Oh.
All right. So I've been very lucky to be able to start doing a little bit more video creation, video on the video side as well as the audio side. And so I did a video for this company called Ultimia. Ultimia is a long time ago. It was just a small projector that we did, and it turned out to be a really great video for them. It worked out well for me. I took a chance on them. The projector was so much better than I ever thought. So they sent me this. As far as I know, I'm the only one with a prototype of this. It comes out the end of September. It's going to be a crowdfunding campaign, but it's an ultra short throw projector. So basically the way that works is I have a screen coming that's electric. It comes off the ground, and then you put this on the ground next to it, and it just fires the image right up on there. So it sits right next to it. So this sits by your wall or wherever. It doesn't have to be mounted up on your ceiling. It sits with all of your stuff. It's pretty amazing because of that. And they claim some really amazing things: 4,000:1 contrast ratio, 4,000 ANSI lumens, because this can actually be used supposedly during the daylight. I haven't really got a good chance to test it fully yet because my screen's not coming in for another day or two. Assuming DHL doesn't screw it up. They've been really crappy lately. So I have this in, and I'm really excited about reviewing this. It probably won't come out till the end of September, but I'm going to try to do some shorts and stuff on it so that you guys can kind of see what it's like and if it's something that you would be interested in. I've always felt like if you do audio, you should also be interested in video, because one without the other. What'd you say?
I do enough to get by. I wish I was more interested in it, but I buy TVs that are like, all right, this has good reviews and it's affordable. Cool. But I've always known that I could get into this whole new world. But then I look at my bank statement and I'm like, oof. I'm not sure if the lab is ready to take me here yet.
I completely get that. So yeah, so that's the next big thing I have going on. There's a couple small things going on. Got some amplifiers that are going to be on the channel reviewed. I got a remote control. Harmony has gone under. I'm sure most people know Harmony remotes no longer make it. And so there's this new company that came out that is making this new remote control that's supposed to be a Harmony replacement. And so I'm going to test it out and see if it does do what they say it does. And if so, I'll make sure to let you know. And I'm excited about that because I hate having 17 remotes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Geoff, do you have anything coming up on any of your social media outlets that you want to brag about or highlight?
Well, last weekend we were in Miami. Next weekend, not this weekend coming up, but the weekend after, there's Mecca Ohio State Finals, and we will be there hopefully with the new enclosure and the element to see how well we do. But we're traveling left and right. We're going to be going to Daytona Beach in October for Bagger National, so we'll have a booth there. We're going to be at Ruckus and Chill in November, and then also Mecca Finals in December. So lots of fun stuff coming up and lots of work ahead.
Awesome. Well, I don't know what my next video will be. Some of my patrons know I've been having some knee problems. Haven't been able to get out in the garage and work as much as I want to. But Custom Speaker Pods did send me some stuff, and my goal is my next video is about them, the pods I just showed you. And they started making grills.
Oh, that's pretty.
And not only that,
cool.
they've started making different finishes. This is their standard black finish, and they've got these silver looking ones. And they've got all these different designs and styles for their grills. Here's a cool grill with some kind of pretty flower on it. This really seems to be really popular amongst the crowd. I have no idea what kind of flower that is, but it's really popular amongst the crowd.
I think I think it's sunshine.
It must be, yeah. I don't know what kind it is. They've got these cool
It's like a
styles
maple
and
leaf
different
or something,
finishes.
right?
What's that?
It's like a maple leaf, right?
I don't know. I'm not really into plants. I don't know much about them. I'm not really much of an herb kind of guy. But they've made all this new cool stuff they've come out with, and I'm hoping to get some videos highlighting some of their products because they sent me this big wad of stuff. And I like what they do because it's so simple. You just bolt the pods on and you're off and running. So that's what I've got going on. I hope to get the video up soon.
Perfect.
Nice. Well,
I have no idea what the hell it is. Beats the hell out of me.
I don't know either. But if you guys missed, I did do a last video on the pint-sized powerhouse, which is what me and why can't I think of Zarbo's name? Zarbo Audio Project. So we did, yeah, and I talked about, you know, more of the crossover than the build section. So I talked a little bit about the physical crossover, and then I also talked about some of the things that you can do with active crossovers to get very, very flat audiophile response, which is like what I got here. I will be doing more videos specifically on just that portion as well. So make sure that you have that bell rung so that you know when it comes out, because you don't want to miss it.
Thank you all so much for watching. It is time to roll. I am out. I'm hitting the end stream button. Everybody say goodbye.